But could you make a comparison with the job that Erik Ten Hag has coming into Manchester United to the challenge that Jurgen Klopp faced when he went into Liverpool?
Yeah, I think it's very similar, really is. And I think it was possibly a harder job for Jurgen Klopp, because I think the funds for any Manchester United manager we've seen over the last 10 years and going forward will be possibly a lot more than what Jurgen Klopp had when he first came in. But people talk about how long it should take Ten Hag or any top manager or top club, and there's talk of Liverpool and Man City being 5 years. Someone even mentioned 10 years ahead of Manchester United. I think it's absolute rubbish. I really do. And I think a top manager gets a top club back on track within a couple of years. That's not saying to win the title or the Champions League, but to get them back on track where they're competing. I just want to have a little look at sort of Jurgen Klopp, and we look at his first season. He came in the October, and you see where Liverpool finished 8th. And in some ways, it'd probably be better for United if they finish 8th this season and there's no European football. But still got to a Europa League final. You know, beat sort of Manchester United on the way, Villarreal, Borussia Dortmund, sort of something where you think, you know, there's something happening here. And his first full season, or his second season, they get Champions League. That has to be what Manchester United do next season for Ten Hag. He has to get Champions League football. He has to. But my point is then, that's a couple of years for Jurgen Klopp. And then for me, Liverpool are back on track in that third season. Because Liverpool, United, all the great clubs, they should be judged against the Premier League and the Champions League. Not necessarily winning it, but they've got to be in there. They've got to be in with a shout. And that's where Liverpool come in, Champions League, runners-up in season 3. And then it goes from there, Champions League winners, title winners. But they're back basically back at the party in year 3, and that's why this talk of 5 and longer, I think, is a nonsense.
Gary, what do you think? There's a couple of points there. First of all, on the question that Jurgen Klopp actually had a tougher assignment than Erik Ten Hag.
I don't think so. I think when Jurgen Klopp came in, Jurgen Klopp's done the most outrageous job at Liverpool. It's been outstanding, but there were no real set winners at that time when he came in. I liken the job that Ten Hag's got with taking on these two unbelievable managers in Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, who have set foundations at their clubs now for 5 years. To maybe Gerard Houlliér's task when he came in and Sir Alex Ferguson and Wenger were set, or when even Rafa Benitez came in when Jose Mourinho, Sir Alex Ferguson and Wenger were set. You know, you're coming in now to Manchester United when these 2 or 3 great managers, and I'll put Tuchel in there as well, are set in their jobs. And they've got almost like a sort of foundation that's so deep. I think when Jurgen Klopp came in, you know, Pep Guardiola was just starting. Manchester United are in the midst of changing managers regularly. In that time, Arsenal have been. So there's no real set foundations from any other, what would be big club. So I think that the job that Ten Hag's got is absolutely huge. I mean, the job that Jurgen Klopp had was huge as well, so I'm not underplaying that. It's an outrageous job that he's done. But I think that I do liken it more, not really to the Jurgen Klopp's job, it's more to the Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez jobs, because they were taking on managers with outstanding records over a long period of time and who had, if you like, sustained success at that club.
So would you agree that in the short term it's got to be Champions League football next season, as much as anything to buy him time to complete the bigger project, and that could be challenging for titles in, what, year 3?
Yeah, I mean, I said 4 to 5 years to win a title. I don't think I disagree with Jamie's timeline of Champions League in the first 2 seasons while he's sorting the recruitment out and getting used to the club. 3rd season getting very close, I think, to the point whereby the club have got confidence and they've won a trophy maybe. And then that 4th year really is where they have to win a title. 5th year, that's where you're really, I think, looking at the moment realistically. I mean, we'd all hope that he comes in and blows everybody away and that Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola blow up somehow, but they're not blowing up, are they? You know, they're achieving the sort of same numbers of points year in, year out. So if their consistency remains, which there's no reason to say it won't, then Ten Hag's got a massive job to make up that points gap that you've all looked at before.
Do you not think, Roy, that a top coach, and this is what we expect that Erik Ten Hag is, this is why Manchester United have scoured the world and chosen him, can have an impact straight away, season 1?
Yeah, you'd hope so. I think any top coach will have a bit of ego and a bit of pride, and he will look at his own CV and think, I can certainly make a difference. Certainly to this group, there can't be any worse next season, surely. And he'll think maybe he can try and win a cup or whatever and rebuild the club. But I think any top manager will believe he will get a reaction from the group of players. He will get back in. There's always money provided for the manager. And again, if he gets that recruitment right, it'll take a couple of windows. But I still believe a good manager will believe he can turn things around pretty quickly. Not in terms of challenging, like we're saying. I don't want to be repeating what the lads are saying, winning titles. But to get back, get a bit closer, competing. And Gary used the word there, confidence. The fans and the club have got to get confidence into this new manager. Over the last few years, there's been doubts about every manager seems to be. There's doubts about Mourinho's style, Van Gaal, even David Moyes, Ollie. When he comes in, he's got to get the full backing and proper support and give him that power he deserves to get.
Gary, you want to come back in?
Yeah, it's a question really for the lads. I've been asked it a number of times and I've said I haven't got a clue what's gone wrong at Manchester United this season, but the first task to me seems to be what's gone wrong. And, to Roy and Jamie, why this catastrophic fail and this fall that's occurred this season? I have no idea. I can't put my finger on it. What has gone wrong to the point whereby that team that went second last year, 10 to 12 points behind City, and now where they are? I still can't put my finger on that. Surely that's something that Ten Hag's got to deal with first and foremost.
Well, I think it's really interesting that, obviously, some of the lads know really well. Paul Scholes mentioned how toxic the dressing room was. He'd got that off, I think, Jesse Lingard. Now, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, there was something about Manchester United. They were nowhere near as good as sort of Liverpool or City, but you looked at the group and it looked like decent lads or a decent type of group. I don't know. But the things that keep coming out about what's going on inside the club, I mean, who is that? Where does it start? Where does it come from? It doesn't feel like those noises were coming out over the last 2 seasons with Ollie. That, the supporters were behind Ollie. He was never at the level of Jurgen Klopp or Pep Guardiola and was never really going to overtake them. But it felt like something was just building, getting to semi-finals, getting closer. And it felt like there was something... I don't know if you agree, Roy, but that for me, you keep talking about dressing rooms to me. I don't think we were talking about that 2 years ago. It feels like we're talking about that a lot this season. For
all the issues they have, and it's chaos, obviously, seems to be all over the club. But if you haven't got a decent dressing room, forget about it. You're in trouble anyway. Whatever about the talent and boardroom levels and problems with the manager, you've got to have a decent dressing room. I go back to it. Decent personalities, decent characters. We've seen Man United throughout the season when things just going against them, that's it. They almost throw the towel in. It's a bad reflection on the players, a bad reflection on the senior players at the club. Young players getting carried away and thinking they're players and they're all getting... And listen, whatever goes on, we talk about that word culture, but whatever's going on that training ground, if it's not good and they're not... I'll go back to it, even if they're not training properly and giving everything to training, you're never going to compete with these other, obviously, brilliant teams at the moment. So a bad dressing room, forget about it. You've got no chance.
Does it, Gary, go back to the summer window? The 3 big players they brought in were Sancho, Varane and Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think you were among those who expected United to kick on. Were they the wrong types?
That's the only thing that you can... Look, you can point towards Ole maybe reaching his height and that he couldn't go any further and they got sort of, if you like, not sick of the message, but it had become stale and they didn't believe that he could overtake, Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola. Or something has disrupted that changing room. They put the wrong ingredient into the sort of, if you like, the dish, and it's made it completely go sour. And that's the bit that I think has to be dealt with, because these players, by the way, they're not as bad as that points teller that they've got on that board. I know that's something that's sometimes it can be strange because it's theirs. They've achieved these points, but they're better than that. There is something deeper that's wrong in that dressing room that's making them play the way they are and making them get the results they're getting.